you say that, Harriet. You're worth it. You're an individual, and you know something? That makes people nervous. And it's going to keep making people nervous your whole life.
My whole life?
Yeah.
What do I do?
You stay true to Harriet, and you accept the cost.
Well, welcome to our group center number 5. I want to first off, before I start, apologize to each and every one of you. And here's why. Because I told you guys that the class started at 10:30. Okay? Lost my keys, couldn't find the keys to open up my office. And I do apologize. And if I say that I'm going to be somewhere, usually I keep my word. Sometimes we come in late. We are here today. Every Friday is our group session. This is group 5. So today, we're going to talk about pain, which is why any pain caused needs a healing. Do you all agree with that? Any pain caused needs a healing. And we're going to talk about it today. The reason that we do group is so that you all can interact, you all can meet together. Anyone is welcome. Our healing center is in my hometown, which is of Palmdale, California. It's a real walk-in center, no home address. And the address is 1317 East Palmdale Boulevard, Suite 18. And if you want to mail a card, if you want to mail a letter, you have the address. We will be having our emails, because for whoever listens to this, we want you guys to write in, because a lot of people aren't wanting to come out and get to the center, and we appreciate that. But we want you to know there is a real center. No personal home address, a real center. We're going to talk about pain today, and I'd like to welcome everyone. Are you with me? As group number 5, we do also have a center that has a direct connect. If you're experiencing any crises, any emergency where you really need to come and you need to do a one-on-one, you can set up an appointment. I'd like for you, however, to know that we're also putting all of our recorded groups on YouTube. So if you've missed group sessions. This one is on pain. And we're going to put that in there for you. Okay. I kind of forgot to put it there online for you, and I'm going to need to do that because you're going to want to reference these. Trust me. And you're going to refer to them. We want you to refer. We want you to be able to say which one you liked, if you have any questions, you can go right to it. Okay? Pain is an emotion. Okay? And I want you to understand it. That pain is an emotion. Pain is filled with so many words. Okay? We know the spelling. Pain. Pain can cause one suffering. Okay, suffering. Pain can cause agony. Can you think of some other words that pain can cause? We want to make sure that we understand pain. And this this group is able to talk about their pain. And what we're going to do is be able to listen. As we listen, okay, about pain, suffering, agony, torture, irritation, okay, so many words, but we want you to see about the pain first of emotional pain. Emotional pain. Okay, it's very important. These are emotional pain. I'm going to write that down. And we're going to write it on the board. I like to write on the board, guys, because you can see what I'm talking about and you can kind of get an idea and identify some things that maybe you're going through emotional pain. Okay, we're going to talk about various pains. PAIN for group number 5. Welcome. Distress. By the way, I got some new cool markers. As you all know, I love working with the whiteboard. I love working with the different colors of the dry erase. Sometimes I will have you individually come up to the board and identify a pain and talk about that pain. If you're comfortable enough to do it. If you're not, you can just sit and listen and watch. There's nothing wrong with that. You are at your own comfort level. Please feel free to. we talked about agony, but anguish. My writing is terrible, but I'm getting there. So, emotional pain, we're going to go through that. Now, what is the emotional pain caused from? Okay, I want you to be able to understand what emotional pain is caused from. What is the root of it? Okay. How many of you have ever lost something, someone? Almost all of us here have lost something or someone. So root cause of pain is loss. What kind of pain do we call that? Grieving. And I do talk about tears. While we've got you on the subject, please go and listen to my podcast on Vibe Talk Facethelion podcast. And we talk about tears. Tears. Okay? And I thought that would be good to talk about that. We're going to live put it in our live so that you guys will be able to connect to it. Don't worry. After this group meets. So grief from a loss of someone, grief or something. Let's make sure that we understand that. Okay, loss. Okay. What's another part of emotional pain? How many of you have felt conflicted? So conflict. And why would you feel conflict when experiencing pain? Conflict. Maybe you've had a disagreement with someone you know, workmate, acquaintance, friend, your significant other, family member, and thus and so forth. So you experience disagreement. See how that goes? And so you're conflicted. We've all been there in having to experience pain. Stress causes emotional pain. Stress. Whoops, wrote that backward. That's love dry erasers. Because when you make a mess, you can straighten it out. Overwhelming demands. You know that thing. Gotta pay a bill. Gotta get up, go to work, so that I can pay the bill. Gotta get the kids. Not having enough money to pay the rent, make a car payment, can cause pain. Rejection. I always call that something I'm still working on. That's something I'm still working on. Why do I want you to know that? Because I think it's important for you to know, just because I am a life coach, wellness coach, certifiable, I still have feelings. Rejection. Why is rejection emotional pain? Because here's what it makes us feel. Unloved, unwanted, unloved, unwanted, right? Abandoned. Okay, abandoned. That's how we feel. So when we think about our emotional pain, some of us feel unloved. How many of us have ever felt that? I don't want you to answer. I just want you to be able to sit and think about it quietly. You ever felt that? Was there ever a time where you felt abandoned, all alone? No one wanted you. No one cared enough to honor you. How many of you have felt that way? Okay. That's powerful. Rejection, that's powerful. It's powerful pain. Now, when we think about our emotional pain, we think about our feelings. You know, it's feeling, right? And we're talking about emotional pain. Everybody got that? You see what happens? It's a feeling. And here's how some of us may feel. Sadness. Okay. Anger. Wow. Anger, that came from emotional pain. Everything's all right, everybody. And when we feel from emotional pain, anger, that's finding the root cause of the feeling. Anger. We have fear. Was there ever a time that your feeling of emotions ran with anger? Okay, fear. I always say fear is the real 4-letter word, because everyone has experienced some type of fear. I have a fear of dogs that I don't know. I have a fear of rejection. I have a fear of heights. Maybe yours are different, but I want you to know that you have them. From emotional pain comes we feel physical symptoms typical symptoms. What are they? You ever had a really big headache? Yeah. Headaches? Headache? Does anyone have one now? Because you're dealing with some emotion, even unresolved emotions may cause this. Difficulty sleeping. Sleeping. Yeah. When you're dealing with emotional pain, perhaps you are fatigued. Tired. Let me try to write this better so you all can see it well. I got the door open because it's such a beautiful day. Fatigued. Okay. How many of you, when you're feeling emotional pain, lose your appetite? How many of you lose your appetite? Yeah, sometimes that's happened to me. So those are the symptoms. So loss of appetite. Let's talk about it though. You know, some of our pain comes from others. Some pain comes from our own selves. But I want you to know that the emotional pain is normal. But when we think about severity of it, I want you to be able to get the help that you need. And that's why the Healing Center has started. The Healing Center is not a medical center. It's a center to guide you, to be able to keep you on track, to be able to resource you out, to be able for you to start your healing through one-on-one sessions and group sessions such as these ones. You know, because it does affect our mental state. Okay? Emotional pain affects yours and our mental state. That is a fact. Sometimes people want to know what's wrong with them. And they go to the doctor and they have symptomatic things such as we mentioned before. And they say, I'm having headaches. I'm having difficulty sleeping. I'm fatigued. I'm tired. I wake up tired. I'm not eating. He's not eating. She's not eating. You're anguished. You feel angry. I want you to think about something. Since I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not going to get into the medical identification of what is what and what is not. But I am going to tell you to be aware. Because sometimes doctors may not be able to find the symptoms, but you forgot to tell them that you were dealing with perhaps a death, or you were dealing with loss of a pet, or you were dealing with trauma of some sort. Okay? Also, going back to our emotional pain is trauma. Trauma. I want you to think about that. Every person sitting here, every person on the live has experienced some sort of trauma. That is a event that was distressing to you. A loss. Maybe you didn't get abused. Maybe you were abused. Maybe you had a loss. Maybe you felt neglected. Maybe you neglected someone. But all these are result of trauma. Okay? We start to withdraw. The behavior is, what's the behavior? Okay? You start to withdraw. Yeah. How many of you have ever felt that? Then you start to isolate. Wanting to be all by yourself. Wanting to be alone. And that's okay to want to be by yourself. But if it's persistence, I ask that you take note of it. Your mental health is important because your emotional pain affects how you feel, how you see things. Okay? I want you to be able to look at your pain. And when you think about emotional pain, your thoughts, your feelings, okay, how they make us feel, and even how we may feel disappointment. I think that's important to put that. Disappointment. I gotta put that there because I want you guys to see. I'm gonna put it here. I have the door open for a reason. So now, when you feel disappointed, it affects you. When you feel anger, it affects you. When you feel distress, grief, it all affects you. Now, pain is unpleasant. How many of you felt good during pain? Unpleasant. No pain has ever felt good. You ever saw a person in the gym and they have a goal to be able to lift weights? Have you ever saw the strain on their face as they change the pound? You know, the thing that you have on the bar stool and it, or the bar, and it is able to make the weights heavier. And they are, you saw that, right? Look like they feel good. What would you say? Yeah, they're unpleasant face. They're in agony. They're in anguish. So even in a physicality, no pain has ever felt good. But here's something that I want you to know about that kind of pain. That kind of pain is going to get a goal for them, and they're going to see the result of the pain. Here's what I mean. You know, I have a son. My oldest son loves to go to the gym. And he's had that goal for some time now. He keeps fit, he goes, he works out, but he has a goal in mind. What is the goal? To keep fit, to keep at it, right? And so what you've done with your pain, it's been unpleasant, but it has taught you to get through it. Now, how do we get through our pain? Here's the goal. Remember, no pain has ever felt good. But even the person at the gym that you see straining has a goal. One thing that we have to do is express. Express. Now, many of you are not used to doing that. Why is that? Because the root cause has been one of these. If you felt one of these, it is because you're human. Now, your goal is to express, right? You want to be able to express in a healthy way. Such outlets like the Healing Center. You know, I want to talk about that for a minute, our expressions and our outlets, having an outlet to be able to talk. You know, sometimes in life we have segments in our life where people say, can we talk? Or can I talk to you for a minute? Or what do you want to talk about? Okay, that's expression. When a person, such as yourself or others, feel like they need someone to listen to them, that's your job, is to listen to the person that is in the emotional pain. Because sometimes we can't see their pain. But in order for us to feel what they feel, we must listen to hear them. Because we all can identify with pain. We've all been there. And so we want to help them to be able to express themselves. Are you aware of your pain? See, acknowledging your pain is another goal. When you acknowledge your pain, you are being able to